I hold in my hands the latest Lindsey Kelk novel, The Christmas Wish, and today I have for you a book review and event vlog. Welcome back. Welcome if you are new here. My name is Katrina and I make bookish content here on this channel every week and then movie reviews here at the weekend. All of my book reviews and movie reviews are spoiler free, and I have a whole Lindsey Kelk playlist here on this channel, so I will leave that linked up above. But yes, today we are going to be talking The Christmas Wish, the latest novel from Lindsey Kelk, and I am going to be sharing with you some event vlog footage from the event that I went to with Lindsey Kelk and Daisy Buchanan in Birmingham, and I'm very excited about that. I want to show you the book first of all. So this is the outside of the book, but the real beauty comes when we go towards the inside of the book. Firstly, we have some glorious end pages here. Oh, it's showing itself off already. Glorious wintry end pages here. And then we also have this beautiful foil special edition. We're just going to shimmer it some more, signed obviously. There's the spine. It's a bit weird that it doesn't continue on to the back. However, it is a glorious naked book. And yes, I did get my copy signed by Lindsey at the event, as well as a copy of Insatiable by Daisy Buchanan signed at the event. So that was very exciting. There's my signed copy here. And yes, it's a Christmas Lindsey Kelk book. What more is there that you need to know about this? The tagline for this one: with a little Christmas magic, mend a broken heart. And yes, you do have to suspend your disbelief for this one, because it is a Groundhog Day Christmas. Imagine Bill Murray, but instead of being Bill Murray, it is Gwen Baker. Struggled with Gwen Baker a little bit because for 5 years I worked with someone called Glenn Baker and saw his name written down several times. So for the first sort of half of the book, I kept thinking it was Glenn Baker, and I was like, oh, I know him. No. Newly single lawyer Gwen Baker is hoping that a family Christmas countryside, a mountain of food and festive films will salve the sting of her career hanging by a thread and her heart being trampled on, because everyone else has their life sorted. Even Dev, her boy next door crush, is now a tall, dark and handsome stranger with a fiancé. She can't help wishing her future was clearer. Then Gwen wakes up to discover it's Christmas Day all over again, like Groundhog Day, but with turkey and family arguments on repeat. As she figures out how to escape her own particular Christmas hell, Dev is the one bright spot. He might be all grown up, but underneath he's just as kind and funny as she remembers. Maybe, just maybe, her heart can be mended after all. But how do you fall in love with someone who you can't remember from one day to the next? Oh, but what about Dev's fiancé? And what about her family? And how is she going to make sure that wishing it could be Christmas every day doesn't turn out to be such an awful thing? As usual with a Lindsey Kelk novel, this book did make me laugh. You know, when you're downstairs reading a book and the people upstairs can hear you laughing at the book. Very, very, very funny. There are so many sort of favourite lines from this book and favourite references from this book as well. I just thought it was absolutely fabulous. You do have to suspend your disbelief to imagine that she is waking up reliving the same day all over again. But Groundhog Day is one of my favourite movies, and so I was quite all right with that. It also meant that you were thinking ahead with Gwen of like, well, if this doesn't work, what's she going to do tomorrow to try and get her out of the Christmas day that won't stop? Whose wishes she going to think about next? What she's going to do? And of course, with it being a Lindsey Kelk book, what disasters are going to happen to her? What wrong move is she going to make next? Is she going to blow something up? Is she going to fall down something? Is she going to crash something? Is she going to break something? Is she going to break someone's heart? Is she going to make a connection? Is she going to break a connection? You're sort of thinking ahead the whole time of like, oh my goodness, what is going to happen next? In terms of characters, Gwen's a great character to spend the novel with, because she she is having obviously her own existential crisis, but she was having a crisis even before we went into the book. And so she's on this journey of self-discovery, and what better time to have self-discovery than at Christmas with your family in the day that just won't end. But yeah, she's fabulous because she's not perfect, but she knows she's not perfect, and she's just trying to make the best of a bad situation. What's really nice is sort of her family kind of have it together a little bit. You know, she's got an older sister who's married to a bit of a twat. She's got a cousin who has grown up with them as part of the family, and then mum and dad are just kind of like a normal mum and dad. You know, dad's really kind of focused on Gwen's career, and mum's being a martyr at Christmas time because, you know, why not? She's really taking on everything herself and won't let anyone help her, and has been up basting the turkey since 5:30 that morning. So you've got that sort of typical family Christmas, and then you've got this like powerhouse of a nan who pulls like more strings than everybody realizes, as usual. And yeah, they make for an interesting little group, and you get to know each of the family members because Gwen sort of does spend time with each of them individually as the Christmases go on, and they are all fully formed, well-rounded characters. What's nice about Dev, you know, obviously we know that he's grown up to be tall, dark and handsome with a fabulous fiance, but this book is very much centered around Gwen, and sometimes you pick up a rom-com and we start with that main character, and you know, we love spending time with that main character, but then as soon as they discover that romance, you lose a little bit of that main character, and that main character kind of loses themselves a little bit as well. So what's great about Dev is that he isn't in the book too much, which sounds like a bit of an odd thing to say because this is a rom-com. We want some romance. We want something in there. But he doesn't overshadow Gwen. This book is about Gwen and Gwen's family, and Gwen, you know, having that journey of self-discovery and coming out the other side of this day that won't end. And you really do get to focus on her, and you really do get to know her. And as I say, although Dev is a great character, he's very easygoing, and anytime he sort of pops into Gwen's Christmas day, whether it's going really well or not so well, he doesn't overshadow her, and he doesn't take up more space than he has to take up. We get to find out about Gwen's career, which is really interesting because there's that message of, you know, if you're doing something and you're getting up and going to work every day and dreading it, it's never too late to stop doing that thing. It's never too late to make a change. And this book kind of goes along with all the stuff that's on the internet right now about quiet quitting and, you know, only working your salary and only working your contracted hours, and that's sort of explored a little bit in here. There's even a moment in here about something career connected, and one of the characters said, well, I don't know what that means, but everybody's talking about it on the internet, so it must be a thing. And I'm like, yes, everybody's talking about it on the internet, so it must be a thing. So like with any Lindsey Kelk book, it's very topical, but not so that you'll be like, oh, well, this book has aged in 10 years time, when that's not the massive topic on the internet anymore. You're kind of like, oh yeah, we were talking about that in 2022. Absolutely, yeah. And there's one very brief reference to lockdown in here as well, being in lockdown again, you know, with baked goods and not really knowing what day it is, and it being a little bit like Christmas and that kind of thing. So it is timely, and it would date. However, it dates in the sense that you go, oh yeah, I remember 2022. That's what we were talking about then, and that's what you did about work crises then. And yes, there's the scene that made me properly laugh out is a scene at a sort of posh restaurant in a country house hotel where they're having Christmas dinner, and I'm just going to leave it there. So look out for that scene because it is so funny. That is the point though where I was reading and I was like, is this Gwen playing out this scene, or is this Lindsey Kelk playing out this scene? Because in my head at that moment, it was Lindsey Kelk saying and doing the things. Like I got the character of Gwen out of my head, and real life Lindsey Kelk was in my head playing out this scene. probably dressed in the Santa outfit that you're about to see her in the vlog footage that I got. So yes, so highly recommend. It will of course be linked in the description box as always, and do check out my Lindsey Kelk playlist if you are new to this author, because I literally go through her entire back catalogue and say why she is such a fabulous author and why you should be reading her books and buying her books and sharing her books and enjoying her books, because they are there to be shared and enjoyed and reread. I feel like I need to embark maybe upon a Lindsey Kelk standalone reread next year, because I've reread the I Heart series several times now. Maybe we need a little standalone one a month going into 2023. Let me know if you'd be interested in that in the comments. So yes, this footage is from the event that she did in Birmingham with Daisy Buchanan. If you are leaving us before the vlog footage kicks in, thank you so much for watching. Make sure you're subscribed and hit that notification bell, and give this video a thumbs up if you are enjoyed. If you are staying with us, please do enjoy the vlog footage, and thank you so much for watching.
It's funny in this because Gwen's family Christmas, it's so vivid and so felt and so tactile, and it's one that like you can, in the nicest way, you can sort of, you know, like how the way her house smells when you walk in her front door, and you know the temperature, you know it's boiling hot because
yes, it's always too hot
at
your parents' house. It's either too hot or too cold. There's no like healthy temperature at your parents' house, is there? It's one or the other. Either you walk in and have to take off all your clothes, or you need to borrow 18 jumpers. There's no middle ground.
How did you build Gwen's traditions? Were they things you remember, things you wish for, things you remember seeing friends doing?
There are some of them are mine, and some of them are from other people. We grew up in we would very strictly adhere to our Christmas traditions. Obviously no one would enjoy Christmas. You weren't allowed to enjoy, you would be excited up to Christmas, but you weren't actually allowed to enjoy the day. Christmas is suffering. Because we're from Yorkshire. So it was like, we're going to endure this.
You didn't go for that as a subtitle.
No, Christmas is suffering, you will endure it. So it was very much, even from being a little kid to being an adult, like, as an adult I would come home Christmas Eve. But then Christmas morning we would get up, we would do presents. When my mum would make a cup of tea, my stepdad would probably make bacon sandwiches or something, we would do presents. I would be a monster and demand that happen. I am the youngest, so it does not matter how old I am, I will always be the youngest.
It's so spooky, isn't it, how you can be a person,
it doesn't matter.
You can be, you know, married and have like qualifications and like deeds to a house, and I don't know many languages. You become 12 when you're with your family.
Yeah, you can't fight it, so why try? So yeah, we would always do that, and I have an older brother, and I'm the youngest, so I am the monster. He would be the one that's just like, this is stupid every year, like, we don't care about presents. But
he sounds really mature.
Oh yeah, he's great. He's not here, so we can say whatever we like. But apart from the one thing that we would always do every year, so me and my brother would always get a cherry chocolate orange. And we'd always get into it before breakfast, before anything else, even though we weren't really supposed to. But one year we had a chocolate orange eating contest. And I don't know if I won or lost by throwing up. I'm just finishing, she says, wishing it were true, my book for next year. Just finished the second draft, so I feel like saying I'm just finishing it is practically true. It's not, but it's written though, it's definitely going to happen because I've written the second draft. And then I'm also writing, which we just announced in the trade, I'm writing a YA paranormal trilogy.
Oh wow!
What's wrong with me? I'm doing that too. That's coming out in 2024. So next year we'll have another rom-com. I mean, I'm still doing this. I'm doing that too, because not enough to do.
Awesome.
So yeah, that's what's next to me.
Anything about I Heart in TV world?
So I have talked about this a little bit. The I Heart series was optioned for television, and it is being developed for television. If it will ever make television, we do not know. But people are doing things that aren't me. Like, so I mean they signed a contract, so I feel like they're obliged to at least try.
That's always a reassuring sign. Like, I'm not really allowed to say it, but Insatiable has been. I've read a script for a pilot that I didn't write, which I think is a really good sign.
That's an excellent
They get
sign.
another person to do it.
Because they paid that person to write that thing. And I feel,
It's
because
green
I'm
person.
from Yorkshire, once money's been spent, it's happening. Like, it's not, you can't not do it now, because then it's bad, good money after bad. So yeah, that's exciting. I know it's this whole weird thing with TV and movie stuff where it's like, oh, you shouldn't talk about it until it's literally on the telly. But I feel weird about it because that's an amazing achievement. You should be so proud.